Hey, what's good, everybody? It's me, your hero, Benjamin Banks, and you're watching Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. Joining me, as always, is my co-host from the Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks podcast, Rebellious D, and then joining us as we continue to do our Legends of Vox Machina reviews. He's been here since the first one, and that is cosplayer Johnie 5. How you guys doing today?
Ready to rock. Johnny?
Roll, let's hit it.
That's it. I like that 1-2 punch.
Yeah, I like that too. So, yeah, we're reviewing Legends of Vox Machina, the final 3 episodes, episodes 10, 11, and 12. So before we get into today's review, make sure that you like this video, you subscribe to the channel, and you hit that bell button so that way you're always notified when we have new content here on Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. And D, go ahead and make that last critical role for us, man.
Yeah, no problem. Podcast in the description. Like, follow, subscribe to the channel, and thank you all for watching. Nothing clever this time. I'm just leave it. You know.
Hey, okay, I feel that, man.
I'm gonna just leave it.
Let's go ahead and get into this review. So, guys, this show is started. I know we talked about it on past reviews about them dropping 3 episodes a week, and I just thought it was such an amazing thing to do because it's like you can just get through the series, and it's just like when you watch these 3 episodes, it's always going to be a banger. And I feel like the final 3 episodes, because they were the final 3, all 3 of them were bangers. I know that we always talk about like, oh, well, the final episode was the best out of all 3, but I enjoyed all of them. But of course, that fight at episode 2, whew. Hey, y'all saw the reaction video. It was just so much going on in it. Johnny, like, what was your thoughts on the fight, man?
It's pretty awesome. The quality of that animation is really good. It just felt so fluid, like seeing everything, like seeing the fight from all those different angles, you know, as everybody was kind of clashing here and clashing there. It's just a lot going on, a lot of cool stuff.
And like I mentioned before, just them being able to take something that was rolled in one of America's favorite pastimes, Dungeons and Dragons, and carrying it over and animating it is just, I think it just adds a lot more flavor to it, you know? I mean, these are events that people had to literally roll to happen. And it's just kind of cool. It's just kind of cool to see it played out in animation. And then, like Johnny said, the quality is amazing. So,
yeah. And to piggyback off of what you said, it is interesting when you're watching something animated compared to like if you played the game, like when you look at something like Pokemon, for example, or even Final Fantasy, like those turn-based RPG games. And then when you see it animated and everything just goes so smoothly. And, you know, again, like what Johnny said, with everything just being animated so efficiently and just looking beautiful, it's like they put the whole budget into that fight. You know what I'm saying? And I really enjoyed it. I appreciated it. I'm just looking forward to just talking about these last 3 episodes. You know, we got to see who the person was that was in the jail cell that Percy pointed the gun at. It was Ripley. Like, she was working for the Briarwoods and whatnot, and then she ended up getting tossed in the jail cell. So it's like when I saw that, it reminded me of one of those things that like you see in like other TV shows and movies where somebody is all gung-ho and I'm going to do this for you. I serve you, my lord. And it don't matter who you are. It's just like, you're just anybody that can be replaced. Now, Johnny, is she in the Critical Role series, or was she somebody that was just made specifically for the show?
Oh no, she was absolutely in the series. She was one of the Briarwoods lieutenants. And what is really cool, and I'm glad that you brought it up, is it's a situation that we see in a lot of like 80s cartoons, like nostalgia cartoons. You see like where somebody wants to like be the minion of the bad guy, right? And you know, the situation where the plans don't go according to how the evil overlord's vision works, and so they take it out on their minions, you know. So the minions suffer, even though that they're on the same team, you know, whatever, you know, they suffer at the hands of the evil overlord. And why that's interesting to me is because as many people know, I have a side hobby of LARPing as well. Now, we've talked about D&D, we've talked about LARPing and whatever, and in a lot of these games what happens is there is a fairly sizable portion of player bases that, you know, they, in their immersion, they like to embrace working for the bad guy. They like to take on like the quests for the bad guy to work for the evil overlord, but simultaneously that trope that we saw in a lot of 80s cartoons growing up quote unquote, the kid kicks the dog.
Yeah.
You don't often see that in a lot of these things. A lot of times, in my experience, you'll see players that want to do stuff for the big bad evil guy, or the BBEG as it's often called. They want to do stuff for the big bad evil guy, but like when stuff goes sideways, or when they kind of put the screws to them and say like, yeah, like, pray that I don't alter the deal further. One of those famous lines. A lot of times you don't see that sort of punishment that comes along with, you have the favor of the evil overlord, but you also have his ire when he's not happy. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be your fault, but he's the big bad evil guy for a reason. So definitely like that. But yeah, Ripley was definitely one of the lieutenants. And there's some other fun things that we'll talk about probably as we continue through the episodes here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
it's funny. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Real quick, I just want to say the main person who came to mind was probably Megatron, and then another villain and then another one that's kind of 90s wise would be Voldemort from Harry Potter. He's one who just kind of, uses his pawns as pawns. He doesn't care who you are. And it's just interesting that you bring that up. But what were you going to ask, Banks? What you got?
No, I was going to ask you, like, what was your opinion on Ripley? I mean, we see her, like, they let her out of the jail cell because the other
kind of reminds me of Wormtail from Harry Potter. You don't know who that is yet, Banks.
I'm getting it.
But yeah, you will. And it's just like, she just reminds me a lot of him because he was locked up at one point. He also lost a hand, and she can't be trusted. Now, if we see her come back or not, that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, see, and that's what I'm looking forward to, because I mean, we see in episode 11 where it's like she was telling Percy, hey, just leave them alone and come with me. And the way I look at it, I'm just like, you were torturing me for all these years, and now you're sitting here saying, hey, come with me and let's get up out of here. It's like, I wouldn't trust her one bit, even though at the same time, she was just doing her job. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I feel like when you're in that type of position, you want to do the job to the best of your ability, so that way that you can please your master and whatnot. But at the end of the day, like I said, I mean, like, you're easily replaceable, and that's pretty much what happened to her. But I thought it was cool that she did help them out, and they got to the acid room. And D, remember when we reviewed I think it was Resident Evil Infinite Darkness?
Yep.
And Johnny, I don't know if you've seen that movie. It's on Netflix, but there's a scene where Claire, she's sitting in a chair.
She's tied up in a chair.
She's tied up, and then there's acid coming up off the ground, and it doesn't do anything to her. Like, she's fine. And then it's like, once she's able to get free out of the chair, then the chair starts melting. And I'm just like, hold on. So it's just like, she was sitting in the chair, and like the acid was touching. I want to say it came up to her feet, and like nothing was burnt on her. And when I saw this, I was just like, I hope that it doesn't play out like that, where it's just like,
I think it was just, now that you recall it, it just seemed like a lack of intensity. It was like Leon was up there fighting
about it.
Yeah, nobody was. It was funny. It's funny you bring it up. It's just like nonchalant, like, hey, there's lava. I mean, like, his ass is raising up.
Oh my god, like, that was just so funny. It's just, there was nobody cared that there was acid, but in this, it's just like, it was. Hey, your boy Percy, he almost lost those toes, and I can understand why he was the way that he was, because remember, we talked about this on last week's review, where it was just like, okay, there must be something up with Cassandra. Like, there's no way that, like, she's been with the Briarwoods this entire time.
She's just fine.
And she's just fine. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, it was a trick. It was a trap. She hoodwinked them. She got them. And the whole sequence of Vex. Vex is the girl, right?
I'm gonna leave that one to you.
Is it Vax? Oh my god! Hey,
Vax is the boy.
Vax is the boy. So I was right. Okay, it was Vex. I was right. Okay, so Vex, when she was able to, slap the taste out of Percy, slap some sense into him, and he was able to help them get out of there, and they all had to work together. And Grog, he just hopped in the acid, butt ass naked, and I was just like, that scene reminded me of remembering Hercules, the Disney movie, where Hercules, he jumped into the pool with all the souls and whatnot to get Meg's soul. Like, that's what that reminded me of. But yeah, it was sweet. Episode 10, it was sweet. It was a good way to, start off everything. And then we get into episode 11. We get the giant fight and everything. And it just felt like an anime fight. And I think that all of the members of Vox Machina, they had their time to shine, except Vex and Vax, because they were fighting each other. But everybody that was fighting against the Briarwoods, I thought that they did an awesome job. And we talked about episode 11 already a lot. And now I want to get to episode 12, The Darkness Within. And we see that darkness finally come out of your boy Percy. So Johnie, this entire season, we've been seeing that there was something like hovering over Percy. And now, like, it's like in episode 11, it was fully coming out. And now in episode 12, we see the entire thing. So, like, what was your take on, seeing this demon? What was the demon's name?
Orthax.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah. What was your take on all of that?
Love it. Absolutely love it. Like, I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming in the story. I was just waiting to see when they were going to kind of, give his backstory and talk about the dream, how he, essentially, got that knowledge of how to build the pepper box from a dream. And before we stray too far away from that topic and, going back to the subject of Dr. Ripley, if you, on your next watch through, pay very close attention to her dialogue, you might find some hints as to where she is, what she's up to, or what she's been up to. I think I think the way that they delivered the visuals and like the dialogue with Percy and his struggle with the demon within was just amazing. Was absolutely amazing. And I'll admit, I started watching the show with the subtitles on, because there are certain things in like some of the spell incantations and whatever that are like Easter eggs that you'll pick up here and there if you follow the podcast, which is really cool. And so the first time that Orthax actually spoke and it showed his name on screen as the voice, and then the line, it was definitely like a stand up out of your chair moment if you were waiting for that. So was definitely waiting for that.
Oh,
D?
Yeah, I mean, it was just I thought that the campaign itself is just amazing, and it's just I think this is what helps, is because it gives it that fluidity, and it's just like all these characters, they have their own little personalities, and it gives it that natural feel, because Percy obviously has his demons, and then come to find out there's a demon in the gun, attached to it. Basically, it's basically a vessel, I guess.
Yeah.
And we do see, Scanlan gets rid of it. But
he knew.
Yeah, I just now I'll ask you this, Johnie. Now, was it just drawn to Percy based on his torment, his past? Do they say why it attached itself to him?
I mean, they go into a lot of that kind of stuff in the campaign. But what is really cool though is so within the game system, if my memory serves, Percy never had any like levels in Warlock per se, but his bond with Orthax is very reminiscent of the like patron Warlock bond, where you get, as a Warlock, you get powers from some patron, whether it's a demon or a great old one or something like that. So that was really cool. And then to see, when Scanlan threw the gun when he threw the list into the acid and it melted, and you saw it like break the bonds. Like, again, that's stuff that happened in the campaign. And again, careful observer, if you watch when Percy was going through Ripley's bags, and he found that shattered firearm in there. In the campaign, Percy gets a new gun from Ripley, which was the gun that she made, and it's called Retort. So
interesting.
So the gun that he's rebuilding at the end of the episode may be the show's version of Retort. And another little fun bit is we saw Percy doing what he had to do in order to not let the demon take control. And he got himself a shiny new little, we'll call it repulsor there. And
yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just the only reason I asked was if it was like kind of explain how, because in haunting movies or possession movies, it's usually drawn by a source of like sorrow that it can feed off of, blah blah blah, etc. And that's what it just kind of his family was butchered.
And I would suggest, because the interactions between Taliesin and Matt are so good.
Yes.
Just the lines of dialogue, just at the table, even are just so good. That,
totally
if you're into that kind of theme, like seriously, like sit down, give it a watch. You can sometimes find the clips, but for those of you who are going to power through and watch the whole season, like I salute you. There's a lot of great moments in it. Again, things in the show that got lifted right out of it. Again, we talked in the earlier review about, your face was the one in my mind when murder first entered my heart. And in this, in the earlier episodes here, we got Percy's line about Anna Ripley being the luckiest person in Whitestone. You know why? Because you are at the bottom of my list. Those and seeing those lines delivered live at the table, like during the game, like you can't even replicate that.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what makes it so fun. And I've recently started listening and just listening, and it's just their ability to shift gears. I think really it's just like it just shows the chemistry off at its highest level, because they can go from just what the hell are you doing to a very like intense an emotional scene, as you've mentioned, Johnie, too, especially in like the Mighty Nine, where someone's character does actually, bite the dust. And then it's like their ability to just draw you in and do the emotional stuff is amazing. And then just go back to doing whatever. It's really fun.
Yeah, man. I mean, like, honestly, I was kind of hoping that the gun just got left there and somebody else found it. So that way,
of course you would.
Yeah, so that way Orthrax would want to get revenge. Like Percy's name will be on the gun now. Well, not just Percy's name, but like, see, Johnie just did something.
Yeah, he did.
But God. It's like I think it would be cool if like all of Vox Machina's name were on the gun and
barrels.
Everything. Yeah, the barrels. But, I mean, Johnie just did this, so I'm just like, oh, maybe we might see something in the future. Fingers crossed, pinky up. But yeah, and then also in the final episode, I just love that Percy was fighting with not trying to kill Lady Briarwood, and how Orthrax was making him see, people that he had already killed, and like he was shooting them, but it was the rest of the members of Vox Machina, and it just takes a lot of restraining, like Johnie said. With him shooting himself in the hand so that way that he could break the curse. And then Cassandra, she got the final kill on her, took her out. And she was just like, I'm glad that you forgave her and, you worked out your differences.
But I couldn't.
Bro, what a sweet way to take her out. Now, Johnie, the thing that she had summoned before, the Vox Machina had came in there and stopped her, is this going to be like
vortex thing?
Yeah, is this going to be like a big thing that you can see, because you already know that's going to carry out through the series, or is this just going to be like
looks like he's trying not to smile? Look at him.
Or is this just going to be like a boss where it's just like this may be the boss for season 2 and then that'll be it?
So Johnie, do you play? I got a question real quick.
Yeah.
Do you play poker?
Do I play poker? No.
I couldn't tell. Go ahead.
No, I LARP, which gives you a whole interesting. Gives you a whole extra interesting dynamic of trying to keep a poker face or spin some kind of scene. So we got an interesting scene at the very end of the episode. The High Council, in the way that was getting set up for next season, or whether this is going to be like a cliffhanger for where. We leave off Vox Machina, and who knows what they're going to do next. But we saw a taste of some stuff to come, the form of some dragons there, which for those in the know, it's the Chroma Conclave. We've seen at least one. in Brimscythe, and there's more dragons, turns out. But as far as what's being summoned, we heard the name the Whispered One over and over. In the actual campaign, they used Vecna, which is a big evil lich necromancer type, but it's very likely that Wizards of the Coast owns like a trademark on that name, like they own the name, because there's, in a side tangent, there's we'll call it some continuity, that because of things that happened in the campaign with Vecna, and then like other celebrity guests and blah blah blah. It's a whole thing where like now there's kind of like in Dungeons and Dragons proper, there are now things that happened in Critical Role that now canonically affected the Dungeons and Dragons world like at large, and how all that comes together, like that's above and beyond my pay grade. But they did it. I mean, so I guess for the sake of the show, it's the Whispered One. But the real ones know it's Vecna.
Well, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen, because I mean, we see the image of them there, and then it just becomes like an orb. And then when you see that the people had went in, the priest, they went in there to investigate it, and the one dude, he got his hand, snatched up, and he got snatched right over. I said, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen next, man, because I feel like that they left so many breadcrumbs everywhere where it's just like they can go in any direction that they want to go. But people who know, like Johnie, for example, like he knows what's going to happen next. And thank you, Johnie, for coming up here on these reviews and, filling us with information that we didn't know and not spoiling it and giving away too much information, because, I mean, it's kind of like when it comes to anime and the manga, it's like Johnie read the manga already, and we're only anime watchers. And D, I know that you just recently started listening to the Critical Role podcast and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's definitely worth listening to now if you're a fan of the show. And now that the show, we don't know when season 2 is going to be coming out now. Or Johnie, have they announced when season 2 is going to be coming out?
I didn't pay attention if they did, because I know it was like literally right before. It was either right before or right around the time that the first episode hit, where they had like the announcement came out, like, hey, it's already signed on for season 2. So I think with that, I don't think that they actually announced the release date, because I think that, like I said, right as this was coming out is when they made that announcement that season 2 was already signed for. So
yeah, I'm looking it up now. Yeah, it said that I mean, I'm reading this article on Dual Shockers, and they said that season 2 was confirmed, and this article came out 5 days ago. So, and
I will say
it doesn't say when, but it just says it's confirmed.
If you're a fan of this show, it is in your best interest to go get as much of the actual podcast in. It is just I'll just say it's a totally different experience, because it adds an element of suspense, is what I would say, because you don't know in the heat of battle who's going to make it, who's not.
Yeah.
You don't, just hearing them do these things and, in the moment, it's just better to me.
I agree.
And despite watching the show or watching or listening to the podcast and then seeing the show, like there are enough things that are different in the actual show that you're not gonna have like a 1-to-1 translation of what happened. So you're not gonna necessarily ruin it for yourself, because a lot of the backstory, a lot of the questions that you might have from watching the show, like you're gonna get a lot of that in a extended format that's going to kind of answer some of those questions. Yep. But then simultaneously, it's also interesting to see some of the creative direction that they took that's different from the campaign. Like, in the campaign, we definitely got to see Trinket get the finishing move on Silas. So, yeah. Whereas, during campaign 1, there was definitely some jokes about, Trinket getting left behind and that sort of thing. So the fact that Trinket got left back at the keep and was only but a minor piece of the season 1 was a nod to that for sure. But it would have been hilarious to see Trinket just all of a sudden pop up and get the finisher on Silas.
And just crush him.
And that is interesting that you bring that up, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because when I saw him at the end, I was just like, man, it's weird that we saw him in the first episode and then we see him at the end of episode 12. But I think it would have been interesting too if he could have been there in the final battle, because I mean we saw what he did in the first episode when they were fighting.
And there was such an underrated part too. I love that when Trinket just busts into the tavern and just drags that person out.
Just drag the guy out. It's like, yeah, I mean, like, it would have just been cool. I mean, hopefully we see more Trinket in season 2. Now, Johnie, I want to ask you this too. Did you catch any Matthew Mercer NPCs in these last 3 episodes? Because I was looking very hard, and I kind of feel like the only place that you probably would have seen them at is in the final episode when they were at the castle.
So the first 3 episodes were really, really blatant with their placement of the Matt Mercer NPCs, and then as you go along, what you find is you got to start paying attention to like the villagers in the background and that kind of stuff.
Where's Waldo?
So it becomes really more Where's Waldo. It's almost like right at the beginning they kind of tease you with it. It's like right in your face. You're like, oh wow, that guy is literally Matt Mercer, and then like you watch it again and you're like, wait a minute. There's another Matt in like episode 1, and then you start to realize it's in every episode, and you know, some of them are more difficult than others to find. So
we're gonna have to play a game, and we're gonna have to make a video, and we're gonna have to put the circle around each Matt Mercer in every episode. And I just wish that that there was a JoJo, a Jotaro in this. I mean, I'm seeing the JoJo references. I don't know about you guys, but I'm seeing them, and hey, look,
I'm good on that.
I'm pretty sure you are.
Somebody had to be good on it.
Well, I'm going to ask you this because we are here at the end of our review now. What are your final thoughts on these last 3 episodes? What are you hoping to see in season 2? And what is your final rating for the entire season 1?
Who's going first?
I'm not starting this time.
You want to start, Johnie?
No, I said I'm not starting this time.
Okay, D. Well, yeah, you go ahead and start.
Overall rating, I mean, I'm gonna give it. I thought as a show as a whole, I thought the comedic direction and the combination of severity and action, I'm gonna go ahead and give season 1 a 10. I mean, I don't see any reason not to. It was just too good. Even some of the little funny music that you get and stuff, and Scandalin being Scandalin, and it's just I loved Grog. I mean, I've mentioned it week after week. I love them as a party. The one thing that I'm looking forward to is seeing Keyleth and my boy Vax get closer. That's basically what I'm looking for. I love the romantic tension and stuff. I think it's kind of cool how she's kind of like the forbidden fruit for him, basically.
Yeah.
And it's just interesting, Johnie?
All right. So as a sum total, the entire show, I'm going to agree with D. I'm going to give it the 10 because it's just so good. Again, you just don't get shows these days where the creative direction is in line with the budget that they've got. It's in line with what the fans want to see. There's always some disconnect somewhere. There's always some suit that's saying like, oh, it's too much for us to do that. Or some, focus group that says like, oh, that's not what the audience wants to see. And they have no idea what the audience wants to see. But the cast of Critical Role has time and time and time again, like they interact with fans at conventions. They do these panels, they do these like web shows, they do all this stuff to interact with their community. How could they not be like the top expert on what their fans want? Because they're already the top expert on the source material and the tone of it. They wrote it. Yep. So again, I have to give that all 10s. Now, what I will say, and one of the reasons why I didn't want to go first, is because in that final episode, like if I had to rate the individual episodes, I would have actually maybe shaved some points off just on some like weird little animation things that like hit me kind of at the end where I was like, oh man, like that just didn't feel like in line, like, and it wasn't anything crazy. But, and without going too far down the rabbit hole, what I'll say is, if you watch shows where they blend 2D animation with the CGI and they try to do like the 3D CGI, Some places do it seamlessly, and it looks absolutely beautiful when they do it, right? And then some shows look like Berserk 2016. And
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I just recently watched a few of the episodes of Berserk 2016, and I'm just like, now I see why fans bashed it so much. But continue.
Yeah, so there was just some of the CGI was just not as strong in the last episodes, and it was enough to catch my attention and distract me like momentarily, but not so bad that it like completely pulled me out of the show. So like I said, I would have said like, oh, that episode of 9.85 or something. just clowning around. But no, at the end of the day, like again, solid start to finish storytelling, action, dialogue is well written. Yep. Like the comedic moments don't feel like they completely just bury the rest of the show under the comedy. They take away from the tone. Just bang, 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 just firing on all cylinders. Just, you know, it's a great ride start to finish.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
I 100% agree with everything that the both of you guys just said. You know, me, I'm going to go ahead and give it a 10 out of 10 as well. I loved it from episode 1 all the way up to episode 12. One of the things that, as I've mentioned on each review, is like I love the individual character growth that we've received so far on this season. Now, you know, we had the, you know, growth on Percy. We had it on Pike. We had some on Scanlan, and we had a little bit on Keyleth as well. So for season 2, it's like I want some more information on the twins. It's like I feel like that they really didn't get as much. They got their shine, but it's like their individual like growth moments. I want to see some more on Grog as well. And that's one of the key things I really want to see for season 2. D, like you had mentioned with Vax and Keyleth, like you want to see more on their relationship. I don't know what it is, and I'm pretty sure Johnie knows. And Johnie, if nothing happens, then you can tell me this right now. But I feel like, well, if something does happen, then I mean, don't say anything, Johnie. But
just sit there.
Yeah, Johnie, don't say anything. But it's like since episode 1. It's like I've had this feeling that there's something there between Vex and Percy. And I'm just like, yo, is something going to happen? You know, I don't know. I'm kind of hoping something happens. I don't know. But yeah, I would love to see something happen with that. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed these last 3 episodes. I loved that it ended with a cliffhanger. So that way it gets you hyped for season 2. And hopefully Invincible season 2 comes out soon, so that way it can hold me over until season 2 of the Legends of Vox Machina comes out, because you know this right now for me is 2 and 2 for Amazon. You know, they had Invincible, now you got Legends of Vox, so I'm down if they come out with a 3rd show based off of something that was really popular and nobody really knows about.
Careful what you wish for. Careful what you wish for.
I mean, that's true too. I mean, that's true too, but I mean, like, just thinking about like all of the shows that we reviewed, like Dota is one, Arcane is one, like all of these shows that are based on popular video games or, you know, Dungeons and Dragons and stuff, that something that I may not have been into, but then it gets turned into an anime or a cartoon, and I'm just like, yo, this is badass, because now it makes me want to go and check the stuff out. Like D, for example. D wasn't listening to Critical Role before we were doing these reviews and watching this show, but like now it's like whenever we talk, like he's always telling me like, man, this stuff is awesome, you got to check it out and whatnot. So everybody that's watching this review, if you really enjoyed the show, go and listen to the podcast, because I'm pretty sure that you'll have an awesome time. It is a long listen to, but if you ain't doing anything, you cleaning up around the house or something, just put it on, man. Have a good time. Drink some wine, drink some root beers, drink some apple soda. Is there an apple soda? Yeah, there is apple soda.
Maybe.
They used to have it. They used to have it at Taco Bell back in the day. They don't have it anymore. But
well, they got they got the green apple with the Jones Cream Soda Company.
Yeah, I've had that before too.
That is delicious.
With that being
there
said,
is currently a green apple Mountain Dew out.
There's a green apple Mountain Dew. See, currently, I'm on a diet right now, so I can't drink any soda.
Look at him. See?
Yeah, hey, maybe in the future. You know what I'm saying? I know D has the atomic Fallout drinks at his house, and like every time I see it, I want to crack one open. But I know he'll kill me if I do.
I might.
So thank you all for watching our reviews for the Legends of Vox Machina. Hop in the comments. Let's talk about we can talk about the series. We can talk about these final 3 episodes. Johnie, thank you so much for coming up here and joining us on all of the reviews that we did for Vox Machina. So before we wrap this thing up, Johnie, let everybody in social media land know where they can find you at.
All right. You can find me on Instagram, Johnie_5. You can also find me from time to time contributing with the Variant and Onway Anime.
Awesome. D?
Yep. And you can find me at rebellious_D23 Instagram.com. And Banks, if Silas somehow comes back from the dead and they need a hero, where can they find one?
Hey, you can find me, your hero, Benjamin Banks, at KingBenji_Banks on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me on Facebook at Benjamin Banks. I should be the first person to pop up. If not, then I need to contact Mr. Zuckerberg. Thank you again, everybody, for watching this review. Make sure you check out some more of our reviews that we have here on the channel, along with interviews and reaction videos. Check out our podcast. The link is down in the description, where we have brand new episodes every Tuesday. Like I say every time, keep that pinky up. Stay positive. We'll see you next time on Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. Peace. Thank you for watching a brand new episode of Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. Make sure that you hit that like button and you subscribe to our channel. Hit the bell button so that way you're always notified when we have new content on our channel. Make sure you check out our podcast, where we release new episodes every Tuesday, and the video of that episode is uploaded on Friday. And you can find new episodes of our podcast on all podcast platforms. Make sure you follow all the Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks social media accounts at Leveling Up Banks on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Also, we have a Patreon. If you're feeling generous and would love to donate to us, it's at Leveling Up Banks. And huge shout out to our patrons. We really appreciate you and thank you for the support. We'll see you next time on Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks.